people will say to you one day when you've, hit a certain level of success, people might say to you, oh, it must be great to be you. You're so lucky. And your response might be, you can keep that luck shit in your pocket. I work my face off. How old are you going to be before you start to experience life like you want it? I want to tell you right now, whether you like it or not, there is a better way to do business. Hi everyone, welcome to the Business for Builders podcast. My name's Max. I'm your host. I'm the CEO and president of Smith & Sons Canada, and I'm the ambitious founder of elitebusinessadvisory.com, customized coaching for contractors. Great to have you along for the ride. If you're a first-time listener and you're just checking us out, I appreciate you dropping in. If you're a long-time listener, I appreciate you hanging in with us there. It's great to have you in the house. Don't forget, like and subscribe. One of these drops every week. And get across to Business for Builders VIP. We're building a group there of hard-charging general contractors and builders that really want to get amongst it and just chat with each other about what's going well for them, maybe what's not going so well, and really drop some of those questions and answers. And I get across there occasionally and put a few bits and bobs in there as well. All right, let's get cracking. Don't forget, if you want to email me, Max at elitebusinessadvisory.com. Get across to that website and you can grab a spot there for 30 minutes and have a chat with me about what's happening in your business life, and we can see what we'll do after that. Right, we're in November. It's very much around auditing, assessment, looking at what our performance was like in 2024, making the decision as to if we're going to go into business next year. I trust you do. And if we do go into business, then let's make the most of it. Life is short, eat the dessert first. So what we want is a better business that creates more lifestyle for you and your family. Okay, so I've been on a bit of a theme this month. I've been using acronyms, and today's going to be no different. But I've lent on the acronyms that are part of our 5-step process. Part 2 of that process, part 1 is we talk about creation phase. Part 2 is we talk about that most building companies that I chat with are well and truly in the chaos stage. And of course, the natural chaos is the natural byproduct of disorder. And last week I chatted quickly about having order within your business. Control is a natural byproduct of order. Okay, that's phase 1, 2, 3. Yep, creation, chaos, control. Today, I'm going to be talking about the 4th step in our 5 steps to freedom, and that is prosperity. And so again, this one's going to be a bit of a long one because I'm using the word prosperity to get an acronym where we're going to, really emphasize the importance of starting with a well-defined why. Okay, it's fair enough to say, well, I want to be prosperous in my business, but if we are not thinking prosperously, and I think I might have said this in the last time, as a man thinketh, or woman, so is he or she. Okay, so whatever it is that you think about the most is kind of what you become. I think I might have said too back then, it was like, what you think about determines how you feel. The way you feel determines your actions and your activities. And so those actions and activities will produce routines and habits, and you will be a sum total of the routines and habits. You and I are going to be a sum total of those routines and those habits. So what we want to do is if it is the outcome, we're saying, hey, we want to be prosperous. It's the result. Okay, so what's got to happen to really create the outcome and the result? Well, we really got to focus on why it is that we do what we do. And this is why there's 2 parts. As a business coach and a franchisor, it's important that I really break down the 2 parts of you as a business operator, and that is, you've got to determine with a high level of clarity and reliability what it is that you want out of your business, and then we can then create the system or the how-to that's going to create performance within your building company over time, tied to you as the human, because you are the organic unknown quantity, to hopefully arrive through doing the work and applying the systems to get the outcome that you want to be. And that will have some semblance of prosperity attached to it. So prosperity. So what I'm going to go through is this list, this acronym, and it represents a well-planned, intentional approach, okay, for a builder, or a general contractor, and you as the business owner, essentially, to really putting it together and have a thriving business. Okay, P for prosperity, but P for purpose. A clear and compelling reason for the business's existence that guides decisions and fuels passion. Okay, so, this is where we get talking to clients and I'm like, can you define for me what it is that you really love about what it is that you do? Because it's one thing to go, okay, I want to make, $50,000 a month. All right, great. But are you going to try and bully your way through doing something that's going to create that kind of revenue or that income, and it ends up being something you don't like to do? Okay, so you've really got to have a clear and compelling reason for the business's existence that really guides your decisions and fuels your passion. And for me, everything that I do is in the construction sector. Whether I'm operating as a franchisor, whether I'm operating as a business coach, whether I'm operating as a general contractor or builder. Okay, point number 2 or letter number 2, R, resilience. We're going to punch through these pretty quick because there's quite the list. Resilience, the strength to push through challenges driven by the clarity of your ultimate goals and vision. So there's 2 parts there. There's resilience. You go, all right, I think we might have talked about resilience last week, but that grit, that determination, that despite the challenge, you are relentless in your quest for success in your life, okay? Now, I think Donald Trump said this. He said, I'm not about, what he doesn't like is people quitting, but what has to happen in our business lives often is to be able to pivot. That's what we have to do. And so, I think we've got to have that level of resilience and the ability to make quick decisions, but really it's all driven, like you can't just be resilient to keep bashing your head against the wall. That doesn't work. That's not what I'm talking about. That's crazy, okay? Having a goal where you go, look, on the other side of that wall is where I need to end up, but I'm not sure that I can go through this wall. What I'm going to do is pivot and try and go around it, and so that, I think when you've got that level of resilience because you've got clarity of the goal, that actually really is a prerequisite it enables you to make good decisions on the fly. So remember, I've always got to regulate. That's my favorite word, whether I'm in the heat of the battle, on a business front, whether I'm driving down the road, whether I'm dealing with my kids, I've got to always put that word regulate in front of me because I know that I can run off on a tangent, get hot under the collar, and then live to regret the outcome. And I've done that more times than I care to think about. And so as I mature, I try to, handle myself a lot differently. So, I think the stress to push through challenges is important, but it's got to be driven by, the outcome with clarity that you have to establish. In other words, what am I doing? I'm doing what I'm doing today because I believe it's going to take me to this destination, or it's going to help me arrive at this checkpoint along the way of success in my business. Right, O stands for opportunity, recognizing and seizing opportunities aligned with your company's mission and long-term strategy. Now, it's funny, when you talk about opportunity, I think more often than not, and I guess I am a little biased because I do sell franchises to builders and general contractors here in Canada, that I do think that occasionally I talk with someone who does suffer from opportunity blindness. Now, is a Smith & Sons franchise the best opportunity in the world? Probably not. Do I think that it has some fairly interesting characteristics and parts of what we do that make it, a very good opportunity if you're $1 million business and you want to go to 3 million. If you're a 2 million business that's want to go to 5 million. That is typically our sweet spot because I've got a level of maturity there and the appetite for risk is there and the work ethic is there and there's some level of understanding systemization. And so, where I've struggled to break through is people that are in the early stages of running their business or that they just haven't done a lot of business at a high level. And so that really blinds them. Where they say the rose-colored glasses go on and they just go, I don't want to do that, because usually it's about the money because essentially we become strategic partners. But when you get an international brand, you're getting all the software, There's lead generation based on digital marketing and Google ads. Like there's a lot of money that gets thrown on that on behalf, but people tend to throw the baby out with the bathwater when they realize, well, this is part of that commitment. You get something, it's a fee for service essentially. So, I think too, another example of opportunity blindness is understanding the market at where it is now. So in November 2024, what we know, and I do this because I speak to international clients, international franchisees, international business partners. So I'm not just talking about what's in my little sandbox here in British Columbia, but I get input from all around the world, is that the market is soft at the moment. And I mean, I can speak from personal experience. I've been quoting, and I've got some ridiculous margins on, none that I would like to mention here because they're so bad, okay? I would not teach you this, but we run really low overheads and fixed expenses, and we are just trying to get our building company out the ground. And so we are running a little bit of a different onboard strategy. And I say that to say this, that I am having trouble getting clients to commit. And this is me. This is Max. This is this guy. And I'm sitting there going, holy mackerel. And so I experience it firsthand, which is what I kind of love about running a building company again. I don't just sit here as somebody that teachers. I'm running a real building company. I have a business partner who handles all the construction, and together we make this thing work. And, even for me, 90 days in, it's like, mate, I've got no traction. We've literally signed probably $12,000 worth of deals. That's it. And so now is spring next year. I'm talking from a Northern Hemisphere standpoint. When we get into March, April, just prior to that, I think there's going to be some stuff that drops, and there's some big deals. I mean, I'm talking to a client at the moment, he's got a seven-figure renovation. We've got other renos upwards of 300,000. So there's stuff that's on the boil. It's just going to take me 6 months to really get into that and really get our claws into it. So in the meantime, at this time of the year, I'm making strategic assessments as to what we can afford to do. And that's what you should do as well. But what I'm saying is I'm seeing the opportunity on the horizon. What have I got to do to hold my breath and get me there? Until such time as we can really hit our stride and capitalize. And so, I think throwing the baby out with the bathwater is not a responsible attitude. The market sucks and nobody's spending money. And, the other thing that gets my back up is I can't find good people. And I'm like, mate, it's probably because you haven't got good systems to go find good people. And odds on is they're not sitting at home playing Xbox waiting for your ad to drop on Indeed. It's just not happening. And so, there's got to be different strategies and mechanisms. So how I see a challenge in the industry is my ability to recognize opportunity and take advantage, and then really systemize around how do I get the most out of that? Because I know that things that I do 3 years ago don't work today. Like I've had to pivot, I've had to evolve, I've had to change. And it's all based on me being able to recognize where the opportunity is. All right, prosperity. S for systems. Here we go again. Efficient processes that keep operations running smoothly and consistently, even in difficult times. Guys, you've got to have systems for every aspect of your business. They've got to be cataloged correctly. There's got to be a library. There's got to be playbooks for each stage and a lot of those important systems or processes within your business. So it's a fairly categoric thing. In other words, I will tell you right now that if you have better or the best systems, your ability to recruit, your ability to retain, and your ability to create revenue in a business becomes a lot simpler. Less emotion, more systems. That's what I would say. Right, prosperity. P for people. People, building a strong, motivated team that shares your visions and contributes to your company's success. You can't do it all on your own. And I know there's probably people sitting in the audience right now going, Max, I've had a crack at getting people on, and by the time I show them how to do it, I might as well have done it myself. And I get it. I feel your pain. You're not wrong. But I would say that your company did not have training videos and your company did not have playbooks that you could use over and over again. So that's called leverage. We develop the system once and we continue to use it to onboard and train and keep accountable people that are on your team. And sometimes disqualify people from being on your team, both in the interview process and, of course, once they've been with us for 90 days. Okay, so if you're not putting those types of systems together, then you're not going to be able to build a strong team. It's just not going to be happening, and people around you. And then what happens is they're like, well, I've tried hiring 2 people. That means the rest of the world sucks, and there's nobody else here that can work. Like, give me a freaking break. Like guys in this town, they just think that there's a shortage of work in this town. I will just about bet the farm, and I haven't seen recent data, and I don't know what's going on with Canadian home builders, but normally I can get statistics that are reasonably up to date. I mean, only 12 months behind. Currently, they're running 2 years behind. So I understand that there's probably a massive challenge bringing the data together. But in this town in 2022, there was $127 million worth of renovations happening. Now, I don't know about you, but if I had a $2 or $3 million business, I might be okay with that. Would I like to be 10 million? Probably. Is there opportunity to pull 10 out of 120? It gets a little challenging because of, the competition. But I'm telling you, there's not a lot of guys that do post $1 million or even $2 million. $2 million, they're very uncommon. I think it's uncommon in this town. And so for me to double into that and to drive into that, I am not going to be able to have a business that does that kind of revenue by myself usually. Okay, so we're going to need to build a team. And the way we do that is we have better systems for onboarding, training, creating autonomy within our companies, creating accountability using those playbooks and systems, and then really applying, the social media strategy to be able to sort of project what we are as a company, both to prospective clients, but also to those team members that go, boy, I wonder what it's like to work at Smith & Sons, okay? So that's why it's pretty important. So we've got to build that strong and motivated team. E stands for excellence. So striving for the highest standards in all aspects of the business, from project execution to client service. So, it really does, I think, a level of excellence, when I talk about all of the departments, in our business, right from marketing to strategic planning, there has to be an attitude towards development of systems within those departments of excellence, because the natural byproduct of having order in those departments, in those systems, okay, is what's going to produce a natural byproduct of excellence right across your building company. Okay, prosperity. R stands for results driven, keeping the focus on measurable outcomes that move the company closer to its goals. Right, here's where we get to talk about key activity metrics, people. We start on the left-hand side with your revenue goal, and we slide right across about 20 columns, and we come up with a return on advertising spend right next to your customer acquisition cost, right next to your cost per lead. Metrics. We want to be data-driven decision makers, don't we, people? This is yes. This is no. Yeah, we want to be yes. We want to remove the emotion, and we want to be data-driven, okay? That means we've got to log the performance. So if we are to be results-driven, we need to know what we're driving at. So what is an acceptable revenue target for you in your business, in your area? Is it 500,000? Is it $1 million? Is it 10 million? Okay. Based on your experience, are you someone that can handle a $5 million business? If currently you're only doing 750 grand a year, I doubt whether you are. Right. So there's big jumps, right? So what we've got to do is be very meticulous in gathering our data. I often say to elite business advisory clients that when we're talking about price to clients and they go, oh, Max, I think this bathroom reno should be done for 10 grand. I ask them, what research did they do to come up with that number? And then I shut up. And then when I say to them, look, don't worry, because I give them a get out of jail free card, a back door, if you like. I say, look, don't worry about answering that. But based on my historical data and my experience, okay, I find that the average bathroom is going to start at about $20,000. Okay. So for you as a business owner, if we are going to be results driven, we've got to get into the habit. In other words, we go back to the leadership component and go, I am going to be disciplined enough to make time on a Wednesday afternoon at 3:30 every day, whether I'm in my truck on my phone or whether I'm in my office with my laptop, to log the data of the activity from the previous week. Okay, so how you trap that data, that's up to you. But what we've got to be doing is we've got to be trapping the data. Now, being a data-driven decision maker means that we can then analyze the data, both, let's say, in the last 4 weeks, but also in the last 90 days, and we start to recognize a trend. we start to look at the performance of the business. We know that our fixed expenses are $10,000 a month. Our gross profit margin is 30%. That means, we've got to be billing for about $34,000 a month just to break even. Where do we want to be? So our preferred monthly billables is going to be about 15% more than that. So it's going to be $9,000 or something along those lines. So we set these targets, and then we then compare that to what actually happens. It's no different if you're an estimator. We put together a budget for a project, and then when we do the project, as we're going, we're analyzing the actuals. We're tracking, we're gathering. And then at the end of the project, we do a review and we go, right, what did we budget? What did we spend? Did we preserve the profit margin that was in that job? Did we increase the profit margin, or did the profit margin get eaten out? Okay, so this is what it comes down to, being results driven, and the way that you can, you've got to set that bar and go, right, we are going to hit this revenue target. Right, if we want to do $1 million a year and our conversion rate's 20%, we need to get $5 million worth of leads, every year. Okay, then you divide that by, okay, what inquiry do we need this month to ensure that we're on target? Then all of a sudden, if we've got good messaging and good lead generation that's hitting our milestones month by month, if our conversion rate is down at 12%, we have a sales problem. If our lead gen, we're spending bucks on marketing, but our lead numbers are down, then our marketing message probably sucks. See? So logging the data is one part, but analyzing the data, being able to identify where where and what we're doing well and what we're not doing particularly well, we're not having success, that then comes under question. So that's why it's important to be results driven, but to also track the data along the way. Prosperity, the letter I, intentionality, making deliberate choices that align with your why and the company's mission, avoiding reactive decisions. Now, I look at the why, and people never say to me, well, I want to have a P&L that looks rock and roll. No, they don't. They're like me. I want to build my businesses so that I can have a pontoon boat and that I can have a 4-day long weekend twice a month, something like that. And of course, we're coming into winter, so it's all going to be yucky and white and snow and garbage, which I don't like. But I will look forward to the shortest day of the year, which is December 21. And then I'll be looking forward to the snow melting in April, May next year, and which will take us into spring. So, for me, that is the reason why, which is a little bit of a selfish goal, just by the way. And I think we've got to have a couple of selfish goals, and then we can have broader goals that, might benefit somebody else. But, we really need to ensure that we are very intentional around why we're operating our business. So I talked about the interface between your personal goals and your business goals. So your business goals should almost support your personal goals. So when I say to a building company owner or a client, and I say, what is your why? I expect that to be mostly personal. Well, I want to do this, and I want to travel, and I want to get I want that house on the lake, or I want this toy. I want to go racing cars, or I want to go and climb Mount Everest, or I want to take 4 months off a year, or whatever it is for you. So that personal goal, which is your why, will then you'll drive towards that by setting practical business goals, probably metric and financial based goals in your business that are going to catapult the kind of income and lifestyle, or the kind of income that you need across in your personal life to create that lifestyle. So, in a nutshell, if you were, doing $10 million a year and you were making a 10% net profit, you're probably going to be doing okay. And by the time you pay all your expenses, you might pocket $300,000 to $500,000. Like, that's a good deal. That's not a bad deal at all. So, that will give you the lifestyle that you're shooting for. So understand and so we want to make those choices. So we make a decision to go, we're going to be a wealthy individual business owner, great. So that's the decision that you've made, but along the way, you're going to make choices that support that decision. So that's always, be important. And those choices align with your end result, with your end goal, which is your why. Okay. So that's intentionality. Right. Prosperity. The letter T for tenacity is another good one. Staying committed and persistent, using your why as the fuel to keep going through adversity. So, guys and gals, you and I both go in and out of a valley of despair or we have to endure that adversity, the challenge in life and in business. And it's really going to come down to your level of I ain't quitting. You know, we've had some challenges in the franchise sector, and my wife looks at me and says, why don't you just go business coaching for the rest of your life? And I'm like, I could do that. Unfortunately, I, exude a high level of tenacity, and I am going to finish what I started. That's tenacity. Despite the, what it looks like from the outside looking in, I just know that's something that I've got to do. It's part of my purpose. It's part of my call. It's part of my reason being on this planet. And it gives me the very, massive opportunity to get better, which will then be an outworking in my business. And that would be what I would say for you as well. You're facing all kinds of adversity. You may be, you may not be, but there's a lot of people that I speak to that are facing adversity, and it's your level of tenacity and commitment to your why and your goal that is going to carry you through. Okay, last one in the word prosperity. Y stands for yield. The ultimate rewards and benefits, the financial success, the personal fulfillment, and the realization of your vision is what you're going for. And I think that really does sum up when you want to know what the word prosperity means. I think that's what it is. It's the ultimate rewards and benefits for you for being all of those things that create a high-performance business owner. We talk a lot about high-performance businesses, which are very efficient and profitable, but I think what comes before that is, a very high-performance individual or operator. And, I think the yield that comes from somebody who's invested years of time into making their business better off the back of years of investment in themselves, hours and hours and hours of continuous improvement. People will say to you one day when you've, hit a certain level of success, people might say to you, oh, it must be great to be you. You're so lucky. And your response might be, you can keep that luck shit in your pocket. I work my face off. And so, I think when we're talking about going from a creation stage, everyone enjoys the creation stage. But sooner or later, more often than not, people end up in that valley of despair where there's just utter chaos because there's no systems, there's no leadership, there's no processes, there's nothing well defined in the way of goals. What we've got to try and do is move into that control stage and then in the prosperity stage. And the fifth step to freedom is essentially that freedom stage where there's an exit strategy or there's a succession plan. You might, sell the business or what have you. But I think, those three are the core 5 steps to freedom, being the chaos stage, the control stage, and the prosperity stage. They're the ones where I really spend the most time with my clients. So great to have you with me, and I hope you got something out of that. Get across to Business for Builders VIP, answer the 3 questions. I'll let you in there. Like and subscribe. One of these drops every week. If you need to chat with me on email, max@elitebusinessadvisory.com. If you want to spend 30 minutes with me doubling down on some strategy as it relates to your business, no strings attached and no charge. Hit the book a consultation, come and talk with me, and we'll see what we can do for you in 30 minutes and then figure out whether or not we can do something going forward in some official capacity. Go build that kick-ass business. See you on the next episode. Cheers.